Hello there, I am Elena Valdez. Thank you so much for taking a chance on me today and watching this video. I have recently been called to create something for the parent, the guardian, the grandparent, basically anyone who is responsible for caretaking a child or children. And I don't think, that there are many channels like this out there, and I felt strongly that this could potentially help someone and bring some guidance. So we will be doing Virgo today in this reading. So this is again for the parent of the Virgo child, and we will be asking 3 questions. And we will end with advice for the parent dealing with the Virgo child. So I hope you enjoy this, and please feel free to leave a comment. I'm super excited to finally be starting this channel. I have been wanting to do this for a while now, and finally, with all the changes going on in the world, I felt like it's now or never. And so here we are. And we're going to use this beautiful deck called Monts Tarot. And you'll be seeing it in a bit. And I felt strongly that it would be appropriate to use this deck because we are pulling the energy from the child perspective, right? So it just felt appropriate to use a card that is, or a deck that feels, vibrationally in alignment with innocence and the way a child would communicate. So I feel strongly about this deck. I love it. I feel so grateful that I found it, and so grateful for the designer of it and the writer, everything. Anyhow, I hope you enjoy. Again, this is for the Virgo child. Excuse me, for the parent of the Virgo child. Thank you, Spirit. I have already pre-shuffled, but I know how important it is to see the shuffle yourselves. I know I like to, when I go seek out readings, I like to see the shuffles. So if you're dealing with a Virgo child, Virgos are endearing, loving children. I have a lot of Virgo energy myself, so I get it. Not always the easiest. Okay, Spirit. So the first question is, what is your Virgo child experiencing in the month of October? Spirit, what is the Virgo child experiencing in the month of October? What is the Virgo child experiencing in the month of October? Oh, here you go. We're going to take that card. We have another one to flip beneath it, but I don't feel like that was meant to come out. So we have the Page of Wands. Aren't these cute? Look at this. How adorable is that? I'm obsessed with these cards. Perfect, right? For the reading. Okay, so what your Virgo child is experiencing in the month of October is the energy of the Page of Wands, and we'll get back to it. And the second question is, what are the challenges that your Virgo child is experiencing in the month of October? What is the challenge for the Virgo child in the month of October, Spirit? Okay, you got quite a bit. So I'm going to put those back. And don't worry, whatever's meant to come out will come out. We just need one card. And if we need to clarify, we will. Oh, there we go. And it was one of the cards, right, that popped out earlier. So there you go. So that's the challenge that your child is experiencing. Look at this cuteness. Oh my gosh. Adorable, adorable. Okay. And the next question is, what does your child need most from you during the month of October? And I am recording this at the tail end of September, so this could have been going on also in September. And really, whatever time you stumble upon this is when, that's beautiful, is when it's meant for you to read it. So what your child needs most from you in October is the sun. How adorable! Oh my goodness. Sorry, I've been geeking out. I'm sure people are annoyed by me at this point. Every reading, I'm just geeking out on these cards because I love them. So, okay, so those are the questions. So the first question, this is a spread that I created during meditation specifically for this series of these reads. And I felt strongly that the first question should be what your child is experiencing in the month of October, what the challenge is, and what they need most from you. And really, I think this is the most important position of the read, right? At the end, we'll wrap up with a advice card from Spirit for the parent. Okay, so let's start with your child's perspective first. Page of Wands. Okay, so this is what your Virgo child is experiencing. And the Page of Swords is, you may be dealing with a child that's just learning how to speak. Actually, this is the Page of Wands, not the Page of Swords. So in this case, but I did strongly get that sense, though, that there's a child that's just learning how to speak, or maybe a child who is already, and it's a little different. It's not Page of Wands, but I'm going to come back to that particular hit that I just got because it's very specific to someone. But let's move into the Page of Wands, and then I'll come back to that. So in terms of this particular card, your child is experiencing new wonderment, right? Learning, because the page is all about learning. It's the student. So perhaps you have a little Virgo who's gone and given the timeline, possibly in a new classroom with new classmates. Wands is about energy. It's about putting your energy out there and creating things, experiencing things physically. It's different from the creative of the cups because this is physical expression of creativity, right? Because it's the wands. So you have a little guy here who is learning, experimenting, trying to make his or her or their way into the world physically. It could be as simple as walking. I'm getting the sense here that there are potentially a couple of Virgo children who are maybe moving slower, or literally physically taking action or moving slower than what their usual age range may suggest is whatever proper development or whatnot. I'm not really sure what that means, but it's coming in strongly, and it came in earlier with the speech also. So that might have been why that came in. So maybe a child or a couple of Virgos here who you may have noticed is maybe not moving. Maybe the motor skills are not as quickly as, I don't know, their classmates, a sibling, what have you. And so I'm picking that up, that there are a couple of Virgos here, a few Virgo children who are just exploring the newness of that, of movement. And it could just be movement within a new environment, right? I don't know how many, here's the thing, I don't know what counties, and I'm recording this in the US. So specifically in the US, I don't know how many counties have returned to school, like physically returned to school. It could be that this is, your kiddo trying to adjust to the physical environment, how the new normal. It could be a child returning to school, physically returning, but this is someone who is exploring their environment, right? But I'm also getting this energy of a Virgo child really exploring the way they move, literally, physically in the world, whether it's they're walking, crawling, moving, like they're really, and you're starting to also observe how they move, right? That's very specific. So, you know, you may have also had a child who had an injury. Again, this is very specific, but you may have had a child who had an injury who is starting to find his or her mobility in the new normal. Okay, again, sometimes these reads don't make sense until people say, oh yeah, I'm experiencing so-and-so. So this is coming in kind of mumbled for me, but clear at the same time, if that makes any sense. So I get this feeling of, number one, you have a Virgo children, which is huge right now, exploring new terrain, whether it's because they're studying from home or they're physically moving into a new environment that's different, right? Like you may, even if you are physically able to take your child to school, to an actual classroom, I'm sure it looks different from what it did before COVID. I'm sure they're staggering and masks and distant desks or whatnot. And so you have a Virgo here trying to make sense of it, trying to figure out like, oh, okay, Mr. Snail, are you a new friend? Are you going to show me around? Because this is new for me, right? And something about the snail for me also goes back to what I was saying earlier about movement. You know, sort of like snail-paced movement, physical movement. So again, this can be twofold, right? It can be adjusting to the new environment as the new normal, as whatever's going on in your county, where you currently are, whatever part of the world you're in. And also, I am picking up strongly that there is, you know, a child or handful of children adjusting to new mobility. You know, perhaps they had a little injury, and you'll know. And please feel free to comment and let me know if this resonates and how this is manifesting for your Virgo child. I would be very, very interested to figure what this is. Okay. And the next card is the challenge. And see, this is what's interesting. It goes back to what I was feeling earlier. So Ace of Swords is about communication, right? And the Ace of Swords is always about new communication, what is coming in for the first time, right? And it could be communicating via, you know, a new cell phone, or communicating in a new classroom setting, or for the first time being asked to communicate in a different way than ever before. So let's say it could be your child's being asked to take the classroom online. So it's a whole different form of communication for them. But it can also be literal speech and how they are experiencing speaking, right? Maybe a little nervous to speak up or speak in class or use their words, or, you know, maybe you have a Virgo child who's stuttering and feels, you know, not so great about it. And we all know that goes away eventually. I used to stutter. In fact, I still do. And you might have heard it already. I repeat myself a lot too. So anyhow, so if this falling in the challenge position tells me that you are having, your Virgo child is feeling, you know, maybe potentially stumbling when it comes to the new requirement of how we communicate in the world. And it may be foreign, or maybe not a comfort zone for your child. So for example, you know, this could be a child that now has to communicate via Zoom, right? Because a lot of us are doing that these days. And your child may be, you know, someone who actually needs to be in front of someone to speak up, or doesn't feel comfortable to speak in that environment. But again, I keep going back to the snail here and what came in when I first started the read. I feel like you may be dealing with a Virgo who's feeling bad about the level that they are, the level of, oh, how can I say this? Like where they are developmentally in terms of their communication and their mobility. And not that children know, because children don't actually know that there's a level or developmental, you know, way that we gauge how we are doing in our development. But, you know, he, she, they may become aware of it or may be aware of it. And so it's causing a challenge. Or perhaps adults around him or her have made comments and, you know, he's aware of it. So just something to be aware of. And I'm really getting this right now too. I literally just saw a little Virgo sitting down, very, very shy, very, very shy. And the lack of speech is being misunderstood. The shyness is being misunderstood as a problem in terms of speech. That is so specific. So if you have a Virgo child that perhaps you're expecting more communication out of, or more, whatever it is, out of, be patient and just really keep in mind that you could just be dealing with it with a little Virgo child who is completely shy and just not really ready to express himself, herself, themselves, you know, verbally. Maybe give them a journal. Give them a journal to write with, or maybe there's a different way that you can facilitate ease in terms of how your child can communicate. Give him or her other avenues or other options, other forms of communication. And I think that'll be really healthy, really great for your child. And you see this cuteness here. Look at that. It's like she wants to speak up, right? It's the Ace of Swords. She wants that. Just needs a little space and time. Okay? Okay, and what your Virgo child needs most from you this month is the sun. You need to go have fun with your Virgo. Go have some fun. Let's not be so serious. Let's go get some gelato, or let's go to the park. Let's go look at bees and butterflies and, you know, just have fun. And creativity. Be creative. But you see these little guys? You have this little monster with another little monster on top with this little kiddo. So it's really, your Virgo is really needing some time in the sun, some time outside, some time in nature, creative, fun. Like let fun be productive, you know? Sometimes I think fun is seen as something, especially in this, what's going on in the world right now, right? It's almost like it's seen as wasteful, but I think more than any other time, we need to have fun, especially with children, the children in our lives, right? So there's an element here of maybe your Virgo child isn't having or getting enough outdoor time. You know, even if you live like an apartment, a small space, a condo, and you don't have a yard, there's so many parks that are free that you can take your child to and just engage in being outdoors and just being a kid, right? So that's what your child, your Virgo, needs from you most, is this. It's okay. Maybe call in sick one day at work and just go have some fun with your kiddo. Yes, I just said that. And now we're going to pick a card from the Gaian Tarot to end this reading, and that's your advice from Spirit. And the advice, this card is for you, the guardian, the parent, and it's specific. It's a specific advice card from Spirit in relationship to your Virgo child. Okay, Spirit, what advice do you have for the parent of the Virgo child? And if you hear that squeaky fan in the background, it kind of sounds like a crying child. It's It's not a crying child. It's a squeaky fan. Oh my gosh. It's sort of like a ceiling fan. So it's in the kitchen. It's a ceiling. It's like over the stove. It's like an old time, whatever. It's one of those fans that was built with the building. And I kind of like it. It's kind of eerie, but I like it. So when it gets windy, it makes a sound. It sort of sounds like you're under a windmill in the desert when it's windy. So that's why I like it. There's something very spiritual and soothing for me. But anytime my friends come over, they freak out. They think it's creepy. So, but I like it. So if you've been hearing that sound, that's what it is. There are no children here getting hurt or crying or anything. It's my ceiling fan, or whatever it is, the vent. That's what it is. It's a vent, not a fan. Anyhow, with that said, your advice from Spirit, Virgo, parent of the Virgo, is 3 of Fire. And this is all about fun. It's about self-expression. So again, we are confirming this. So it looks like it's not just your child that needs this fun. You are in dire need of this. So 3 of Fire is also about exploring the world, right? Getting out there, seeing the world. And you see these little sun orbs. I love that. Very much matches with this, right? So the 3 of Fire is 3 of Wands traditionally in the Rider-Waite. And isn't she just beautiful? This picture, I love I love this deck. Anyhow, 3 of Wands traditionally is about getting out into the world and exploring and seeing it, whether it's traveling, short-term travel. That could be a thing that is needed. Like you may need to take your little Virgo in the car, get on the bee and go somewhere and have fun. But most importantly, dear parent, this is about you. Right? In order for your child to express himself in this way, your child needs to see that you are also expressing yourself in that way and that you're giving yourself the room and the freedom to do so. Yeah. And that'll open up the energy and the flow for beautiful, abundant things to come in. And I know it's difficult. I know many of you have lost jobs. I know many of you are tired of being the parent and the teacher in the home. And again, I'm being very specific to the US and what's going on in the US, but I know other parts of the world were able to get things handled early on, and they're not necessarily experiencing it in the same way. But either way, regardless of where you are, whether you are here stuck at home or you are somewhere else in the world, Spirit is saying, allow yourself permission to go explore. And, take your child along with you too and watch it all unfold. And maybe this will facilitate whatever this challenge is, whatever this shyness is, whatever this communication, because remember, this is the challenge position. So although the Ace of Swords is it's a wonderful card to get in general, but it's in the challenge position. So it's your kiddo struggling with communication or receiving communication. Okay, so this may be necessary to unstick that. Okay, that's what I'm getting. Anyhow, I hope this was helpful, and I hope this helps at least one person. Again, I'm new to this channel, or this channel is new on YouTube, and I'm hoping that this brings some guidance to someone. Please leave your comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I don't even know exactly yet the lingo, but I'll get it. Anyhow, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful month of October. Go have some fun.